It's 6 a.m. You're exhausted, sweating profusely, and running to nowhere on a mechanical belt just to burn some fat. You look down at the display, expecting a triumph. You've burned exactly enough calories to offset 1.5 plain bagels. Losing weight is statistically one of the hardest things a human being can attempt in the modern world. We live in a bizarre reality where a tiny fast food burger undoes an entire week of eating sad, boiled broccoli. And as you squeeze that stubborn belly fat in the mirror, you can't help but feel a deep, personal betrayal. Why is your own body sabotaging you? Why does it hold on to fat like a billionaire holding on to tax loopholes? To understand this cosmic unfairness, we have to shrink down, pierce the skin, and look inside the biological machinery. Welcome to the cellular arena. It looks like a peaceful neon highway from the outside, but don't be fooled. This is your adipose tissue. And these glowing yellow orbs, they are your fat cells, officially known as adipocytes. They look kind of cute and squishy, right? Wrong. They are highly trained, ruthless survival experts. Their only mission in life is to trap circulating energy, lock it inside their vault, and never, ever let it go. When you start a diet, you think you are just casually burning off some excess fuel. But biologically, you are declaring all-out thermonuclear war on an enemy that has been preparing for this moment for millions of years. You are not just fighting cravings, you are fighting the entire weight of human evolution itself. And evolution plays dirty. Welcome to the Fat Wars. To understand why your body fights you so fiercely, we need to go back. Way back. Before treadmills. Before grocery stores. For 99.9% of our history on this planet, the biggest threat to human existence wasn't apex predators. It was starvation. Nature is a ruthless biological accountant. Every single heartbeat, every breath, and every step costs precious energy. And out here in the wild, energy is notoriously unreliable. You might find a handful of berries today, and then absolutely nothing for a week. Seasons change, droughts strike, and food sources vanish overnight. If you run out of energy, your internal battery dies. And biology doesn't offer respawns. It's game over. To prevent this, evolution had to invent a miracle technology. A way to store the good times to survive the bad times. Enter the adipocyte. We curse them today when our genes don't fit, but for millions of years, fat was a biological superpower. To run this complex machine called your body, you have two main ways to store fuel: short-term and long-term. Short-term energy is sugar, stored as glycogen in your muscles and liver. It's like pocket change, quick and easy to spend. But you can only carry a tiny amount. Once your muscles and liver are full, the vault is closed. Long-term energy is fat. If sugar is pocket change, fat is a solid, heavy bar of pure gold. Gram for gram, fat packs more than twice the survival energy of carbohydrates. It is the ultimate survival battery. But its true superpower isn't just holding energy, it's the almost magical ability to expand. A single fat cell can swell to 6 times its normal size, just to accommodate more fuel to keep you alive. Let's imagine our ancestors hit the prehistoric jackpot. Finding a massive, calorie-dense honeycomb, they didn't eat a polite portion and save the rest in a fridge. They gorged themselves until they physically couldn't move. Inside the body, this triggers a massive flood of energy. The bloodstream becomes a rushing, chaotic river of glucose. The short-term glycogen vaults fill up in minutes. Warning alarms blare as the excess sugar threatens to overwhelm the entire system. If this sugar stays in the blood, it literally becomes toxic. The body desperately needs a place to dump it. This is where your fat cells become the ultimate heroes. They eagerly open their infinite biological vaults and pack that excess energy away, swelling up like proud, life-saving biological balloons. On the outside, our ancestor gains a thick, squishy layer of belly fat, a beautiful, life-saving biological winter coat, and just in time. Because nature has no mercy. The golden summer abruptly turns into a freezing, desolate wasteland. Winter has arrived. The berry bushes are dead. The animals are gone. The external food supply is absolutely zero. Without food, the internal battery starts to drain rapidly. death is literally just weeks or even days away. But deep inside, the fat cells register the crisis. They unlock their heavy vault doors and steadily drip-feed those golden blocks of energy back into the bloodstream, providing a constant internal fire. The cells shrink and deflate, sacrificing their own size to keep the human machine running until spring arrives. Thanks to this incredible fat-storing superpower, our ancestors survived famines, lived to reproduce, and eventually built civilization. But then, something unprecedented happened. In the blink of an evolutionary eye, we invented agriculture, industry, and delivery apps. We completely eliminated the one thing our fat cells were designed to protect us from: winter. And we replaced it with this. Enter the modern refrigerator. To your ancient biology, this glowing cold box is a magical, impossible artifact of infinite calories. When you look at a stuffed crust pizza, your conscious mind just sees a cheap Tuesday night dinner, but your prehistoric brain sees it and screams, "A million calories, a dead mammoth, eat it before it rots." And so, obeying millions of years of survival programming, you eat. You eat it all. And the bloodstream highway is once again flooded with a massive tsunami of modern, ultra-processed glucose. But because you aren't currently sprinting away from a saber-toothed tiger, your short-term muscle vaults are already completely full. The doors are locked. The excess sugar has nowhere to go. Warning lights flash across the cellular network. We need a hero. Once again, the adipocytes answer the call. The loyal fat cells open their heavy iron vaults to save you from sugar toxicity. They pack the energy away. They swell up. They do exactly what they have done for 2 million years. They wait for the famine. They wait for the freezing winter. They prepare to release the energy back to you. But the winter never comes. Tomorrow, you just open the fridge and eat another pizza. The fat cells are horribly confused. This tragic miscommunication between our ancient biology and our modern environment of infinite abundance is called an evolutionary mismatch. It's not a failure of your willpower. It's a biological system working perfectly in a world that no longer makes sense. To truly grasp this mismatch, we need to look at how your body processes fuel. Welcome to the gastrointestinal factory. For most of human history, food was tough. It was fibrous roots, raw nuts, and chewy game meat. Inside your stomach, your cellular workers had to put in serious physical labor just to break these complex structures down. This slow, grueling process meant that sugar entered your bloodstream as a gentle, manageable trickle, a steady drip of energy. But modern ultra-processed food? We've outsourced the digestion to industrial machines before it even touches our lips. When you drink a soda or eat a refined donut, there are no tough fibers to break down. Your cellular workers literally have nothing to do. The food is already pulverized into pure liquid energy. Instead of a gentle drip, a fire hose of raw glucose blasts directly into your bloodstream all at once. And this is a massive biological emergency. Because in high concentrations, glucose is highly reactive and dangerous. Like microscopic shards of glass, excess sugar molecules bump into and damage your delicate blood vessels and organs. If left unchecked, this sweet tsunami would blind you, destroy your kidneys, and eventually shut down your heart. The body needs to clear the highway immediately. The crisis signal reaches an organ called the pancreas. The pancreas is your body's ultimate biological air traffic control, and they only have one protocol for a sugar tsunami. They deploy the single most important hormone in the story of weight loss, the keymaster. Meet insulin. Insulin is a highly specialized chemical courier. Its only job is to aggressively shove sugar out of the blood and into storage. The insulin army hits the glucose tsunami with brutal efficiency. They are the body's elite emergency cleanup crew. Their mission is simple: grab the toxic sugar out of the bloodstream and shove it into the nearest available storage vault. Naturally, they fly straight to your muscles first, hoping to deposit the energy. But remember our earlier problem. You've been sitting on the couch for 3 hours. The muscle vaults are sealed shut. Access denied. With millions of sugar cubes piling up and the bloodstream turning toxic, Insulin panics and routes the convoy to the liver. Your liver acts as an emergency processing plant, frantically converting all that excess, unusable sugar into dense, safe packages of fat. These newly minted gold bricks of fat are then shipped directly to the only place that has infinite room, the adipose valley. Your fat cells welcome the delivery with open arms. They dutifully swallow the blocks and expand yet again. The heavy vault door slams shut. The crisis in the bloodstream is temporarily averted. You survive another day. But the tragic consequence of this biological victory is that your pants suddenly feel a whole lot tighter. And here is the cruelest joke of human biology. Insulin is so effective, so aggressive at clearing the sugar that it often overcompensates. It sweeps away the excess sugar, but also takes the sugar you actually needed to stay awake. This causes a massive blood sugar crash. Suddenly, you feel shaky, exhausted, and incredibly lethargic on the couch. Up in the brain, the control room registers this sudden drop in blood energy as a critical survival threat. Thinking you are starving to death, the brain pulls the emergency alarm, generating massive cravings, and the cycle begins again. This brutal cycle of sugar spikes, insulin crashes, and overwhelming cravings is how modern humans get trapped. But what happens if you actually resist? What if you stop eating and force your body to use its savings? When you fast or exercise on an empty stomach, blood sugar drops. And more importantly, insulin levels fall to near zero. The pancreas detects the drop, but instead of panicking, it activates its secondary, long-forgotten protocol: enter glucagon. If insulin is the keymaster that locks energy away, glucagon is the liberator. Glucagon's sole purpose is to rescue you from starvation by extracting fuel from your internal vaults. It travels straight to the adipose valley and knocks on the heavy iron doors of your fat cells. Now remember, your fat cells spent millions of years learning to hoard this energy. They hate giving it back. But glucagon presents an official biological withdrawal order. The body needs fuel, and the vault must open. Reluctantly, the fat cell opens its vault. But it can't just throw raw fat into the blood. It has to process the stored fat through a complex chemical grinder, turning it into free fatty acids. These glowing orange orbs are released back into the bloodstream. Unlike the chaotic sugar tsunami, this is a smooth, steady premium fuel. The muscles eagerly accept this premium fuel, burning it cleanly for sustained, long-term energy. This is what is actually happening when you are burning fat on the treadmill. You are forcing the fat cells to slowly empty their vaults. It sounds simple. Just eat less and release the fat. But the fat cells, they fight back. When you suddenly cut calories, your body doesn't just happily surrender its fat. It panics, thinking a deadly famine has begun. To protect the barricaded fat, the brain simply lowers your metabolic rate. It turns down the internal thermostat to conserve power. As a result, you suddenly feel colder, you fidget less, and you lose mental focus. The body is effectively going into battery saver mode. Losing mental focus is the last thing you want, especially if you're trying to learn how complex systems work. Which brings us to today's sponsor, Nerd Academy. Nerd Academy is the absolute best place to feed your brain with high-quality, bite-sized lessons in science, math, and biology. Instead of mindlessly scrolling through junk content on your phone until your eyes glaze over, you can actively build mental muscles with their interactive puzzles and beautiful Kurzgesagt-style animations. Whether you want to understand the complex chemistry of a sugar crash or the mind-bending physics of a black hole, they have thousands of courses tailored just for endlessly curious birds like you. And the best part? No metabolic crashes required. Just pure, clean brain energy. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen to get 20% off your annual subscription. Now back to the fat wars. So your body has drastically lowered its energy expenditure. The fat cells have dug their trenches and are holding the line. You step on the scale after a grueling week of eating less and shivering on the couch, expecting a massive drop, but the number hasn't moved a single ounce. Welcome to the dreaded weight loss plateau. Inside, it's a brutal standoff. Your brain is screaming for food, your fat cells refuse to unlock, and your muscles are literally starving. So you are trapped in a biological stalemate. Your metabolism has crashed, and eating even less will just make it crash harder. To break this plateau, you cannot just focus on reducing the energy coming in. You have to force the body to burn more energy out. But how? Your basal metabolic rate, the energy you burn just existing and breathing, accounts for the vast majority of your daily calories. And the biggest, greediest consumer of that baseline energy is your skeletal muscle. Unlike fat cells, which are passive storage vaults that just sit there, muscle cells are active, roaring furnaces. They demand constant fuel just to survive. In the economy of your body, fat and muscle are natural enemies. Fat wants to hoard the gold, while muscle wants to burn it to the ground. But here is the catch. Because muscle is so incredibly expensive to maintain, your prehistoric brain absolutely hates it. If you are starving yourself on a diet and only doing light cardio, your brain makes a ruthless survival calculation. We don't need these heavy, fuel-guzzling muscles right now. Tear them down and save the energy, so your body cannibalizes its own muscle tissue. You might see the scale drop, but you are losing your metabolic engine, not your fat. This lowers your daily energy burn even further. Eventually, the starvation diet becomes impossible to sustain, and you give in. You eat a massive meal. But now, with fewer muscle engines to burn it off, the excess sugar aggressively floods the system. The fat cells happily lock it all away. You regain the weight, but now you have less muscle and more fat than when you started. This is the infamous yo-yo dieting cycle, a punishing, demoralizing loop that leaves your metabolism completely wrecked. To truly win the fat wars, you need a completely new weapon. You have to give your brain a terrifying reason to keep the muscle. When you lift heavy weights, you send a radically different signal to your biology. You aren't just surviving, you are demanding physical adaptation. Resistance training creates microscopic tears in your muscle fibers. It sounds bad, but this controlled damage is exactly what you want. Up in the brain's control room, the alarms sound again. But this time, it's a structural warning. The body is under immense physical load. The brain does a rapid recalculation. Cancel the muscle cannibalization. If we tear down the engines now, we'll get crushed by that heavy iron. Instead of dismantling your metabolism, the brain orders an immediate upgrade. The cellular workers rush in with blueprints and welding torches. They repair the micro tears and build the muscle furnace back bigger, denser, and far more powerful than it was before. This is the metabolic holy grail. As you build more muscle tissue, your basal metabolic rate, that red line that crashed earlier, shoots upwards. But a bigger engine requires significantly more fuel just to idle. Your new, upgraded muscles become extremely expensive biological real estate. To pay the massive new energy tax, the brain has no choice. It issues a permanent, non-negotiable withdrawal mandate. Down in the adipose valley, the fat cells are forced to work overtime. The heavy iron vault doors are permanently propped open. They desperately grind down their hoarded gold blocks into free fatty acids to feed the roaring muscular engines that now dominate your body. Day by day, the fat cells shrink and deflate, losing their precious savings not to starvation, but to the sheer cost of your new muscles. This means that your body transforms from a fat-storing economy into a fat-burning economy, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when you are doing absolutely nothing. Even when you are completely unconscious and dreaming, your massive internal furnaces are quietly roaring, burning away the contents of your fat cells while you sleep. But before you think you've completely won the fat wars, we need to talk about the brain's ultimate counterattack: chemical warfare. Enter the hormones. Specifically, two incredibly powerful chemical messengers that completely control your desire to eat. First is leptin, the hormone of satiety. When your fat cells are full and happy, they constantly send leptin messengers up to the brain to deliver a very comforting message. We have plenty of energy stored down here. You can stop eating now. But remember, your new muscles are constantly draining those fat cells, and as the fat cells shrink, they stop sending the leptin mail carriers. The brain's mailbox is suddenly empty. Silence. And to your ancient, paranoid brain, silence means only one thing: starvation. So, the brain deploys its ultimate weapon of mass consumption, ghrelin, the hunger hormone. Ghrelin isn't just a gentle reminder to eat. It is a biological air raid siren produced in your stomach. Millions of ghrelin molecules flood your system, hijacking your nervous system and amplifying cravings to a deafening volume. In the real world, this hits you like a freight train. You aren't just a little hungry, you are ravenous. Your brain actually alters your perception. A boring salad looks like wet cardboard, while junk food begins to glow like a holy artifact. This creates a brutal battle of willpower versus biology. And willpower is just a battery that drains quickly over the day. You try to resist. You grip the table. You drink a gallon of water. But ghrelin never gets tired. It just screams louder. Eventually, the biological pressure becomes too much. You reach for the cookie. The endocrine riot has won. Does this mean you are doomed to fail? Not necessarily, because understanding this chemical attack is how you survive it. So, what is the final piece of the puzzle? To win the war, you have to understand the most terrifying biological truth about your enemy. When you lose weight, you might picture your fat cells dying off, exploding, or melting away into nothingness. You imagine them starving to death in the adipose valley, defeated by your relentless treadmill jogging and broccoli salads. But evolution didn't build temporary storage. It built immortal biological bunkers. Fat cells do not die. Well, they do, but an average fat cell lives for about 10 years. And if one dies, your body immediately replaces it with a new one. When you lose weight, you are simply emptying the vault. The fat cell just shrinks, deflates, and waits. Millions of these tiny, empty cells sit in the dark, lurking like dormant biological zombies, waiting for a single drop of sugar. So, when you finally hit your goal weight, you look in the mirror and think the war is over. But beneath the skin, your deflated fat cells are incredibly angry. They are constantly screaming at the brain, demanding to be refilled. Think of rapid weight loss like stretching a thick rubber band. The further you stretch it, the more violent the tension becomes. Bob tries to hold the tension, but the biological pressure is overwhelming. One moment of weakness, one weekend binge, and the rubber band snaps. The moment excess energy hits the adipose valley, the dormant zombies awaken. Because they are already built and waiting, they can reinflate and lock away energy at terrifying speeds. This is rebound weight gain. This is why crash diets fail 95% of the time. You cannot outstarve an immortal enemy that is willing to wait 10 years. To actually keep the vaults empty, you must stop treating your body like a war zone and start treating it like a negotiation. How do you negotiate with a 2-million-year-old biological system? You have to give it exactly what it wants: safety and physical fullness. If you just eat tiny portions of calorie-dense junk food, your stomach remains physically empty. Ghrelin will inevitably break down your door. Tactic 1. Fiber. You need to physically stretch the walls of your stomach using foods that are massive in volume but low in calories. Soluble fiber acts like a biological sponge. It enters your digestive factory and expands, absorbing water and taking up massive amounts of space. This dense green maze physically traps the screaming ghrelin messengers, muffling their alarms and sending a powerful full signal to the brain. Tactic 2. Protein. If you want to keep your roaring muscle engines alive, you must pay the daily maintenance tax. Protein is biologically complex. Your cellular workers have to burn a significant amount of energy just to break it down into usable pieces. This is the thermic effect of food. You are literally burning calories simply by digesting, and the resulting building blocks are used directly to repair and maintain those heavy V8 muscle furnaces, keeping your resting metabolism sky high. The brain sees that the stomach is physically full of fiber and the muscles are fed with protein.
Great job, team.
It finally relaxes, but there is a hidden saboteur in this negotiation: the modern plague of chronic stress and sleep deprivation. When you scroll your phone at 3 a.m., stressed about work, your body releases cortisol, the emergency stress hormone. Cortisol is an ancient panic button. It tells your body that you are in constant danger, triggering it to hoard belly fat at all costs. To defeat cortisol, you must sleep. Deep, restful sleep is the ultimate reset button, flushing the panic chemicals out of your system. So, here are the terms of the treaty. Lift heavy things, eat voluminous fiber, prioritize protein, and get some sleep. When you actually stick to these terms consistently over months, something magical happens. You stop fighting your biology and start working with it. Up in the control room, the brain realizes there is no famine.
Much better.
The starvation alarms are finally powered down. Down in the stomach, the massive volume of fiber keeps the ghrelin messengers fast asleep. There are no screaming hunger riots. And in the adipose valley, the fat cells no longer feel threatened. They don't barricade their vaults or panic. Instead, they casually and continuously hand over their stored energy to feed those massive, roaring muscle engines you've built. The result is a slow, steady, sustainable drop in body fat. No yo-yo rebounds, no metabolic crashes. You look in the mirror and finally see the results you wanted. But more importantly, you feel strong, energized, and alive. This journey brings us to a profound realization. For years, you've probably looked at your body fat with disgust and anger, but your body is not a broken, malicious machine designed to make you miserable. It is an evolutionary masterpiece. Every single mechanism that makes losing weight so incredibly difficult is the exact same mechanism that kept your ancestors alive. Through brutal ice ages, devastating droughts, and relentless famines, your biology fought tooth and nail to protect you. Those stubborn fat cells, they aren't a curse. They are the heroic, immortal guardians of your genetic lineage. So the next time you look in the mirror and pinch your belly, try not to feel betrayed. Feel a sense of awe. You are the apex of 2 million years of flawless biological engineering. You come from a long, unbroken line of ultimate survivors, and your body is just trying to make sure you survive too. So the next time you feel frustrated on your weight loss journey, take a deep breath. Stop fighting a brutal war against your own biology. You can't outsmart 2 million years of evolution with a week-long fad diet. But by providing the right signals, consistent heavy lifting,
nutrition,
massive volumes of
sleep,
fiber, and deep
protein.
sleep, you negotiate a lasting peace. Your fat cells will gladly open their vaults and release their hoarded gold. Your internal metabolic engines will roar to life, burning bright and clean, and you will finally break free from the endless cycle. Not as a conqueror standing over a defeated enemy, but as a master of your own biological masterpiece. The fat wars don't have to be a tragedy of starvation and rebound. They can simply be a beautiful, harmonious negotiation. If you want to keep your brain fueled with more biological deep dives and scientific mysteries, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell. Drop a like on this video to feed the YouTube algorithm's roaring metabolic furnace so it can recommend us to more curious birds. And if you want to support our cellular workers directly, check out our merch shop. We have glorious, scientifically accurate posters for your wall and incredibly soft, immortal fat cell plushies. Don't worry, these ones won't aggressively hoard your calories. They just want a hug. A massive, heartfelt thank you to our Patreon supporters who keep our animation factory running smoothly without any biological crashes. Without your direct support, these videos literally wouldn't exist. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Click the video on the left to explore another bizarre mystery hidden deep inside the human body. Or click the video on the right to see what happens if you accidentally detonate every nuclear bomb on Earth. Your choice. Keep learning, keep exploring, and above all else, stay curious.